guys, welcome back. So today I thought I would give you a little Rani Art History 101. By which I mean, for those of you who are new here especially, I thought I would sit down and tell you a little bit about my relationship to art and how it's kind of evolved since I was a kid into what it is now. And first things first, I want to apologize because there are probably going to be airplane sounds in the background. I don't know why it's a heavy air traffic day, but there's not really anything I can do about it. Like I said in my Welcome Back Rani video, I am not recording in my office yet. I am just in my living room. So there's not really anything I can do to control the sound from outside. Where once I'm in my office, I'll have a full setup, so it should be quieter and we shouldn't have so many background noises. From in here, there's not that much I can do. So if it annoys you, I'm sorry, there's not really that much I can do. Eventually it'll get better, I promise, but I don't know when that'll be. Anyway, so I wanted to sit down and kind of tell you a little bit about how I got started in art and show you some of the pieces that I've done lately and kind of go from there. Since we're just getting started again, I thought this would be a good video for hello y'all. So I have pretty much always been creative. I don't even want to say pretty much. I have always been creative. When I was knee-high to a grasshopper, if I couldn't sleep at night, I would just tell myself bedtime stories that I made up. Just make up stories. Me and my best friend wrote terrible mystery stories when we were little. I was always making up stories. I was always cutting out different designs out of like construction paper and taping them together because I really liked tape when I was a kid. Tape and stickers, favorite things. And so I would just make whatever I could. I would make like 2D representations of my favorite Beanie Babies, write I love you on them, and give them to like my uncle, who still has a bunch of them, and sometimes he sends me pictures of them and I love it. But I really don't remember a time when I wasn't making stuff like that, so it really feels natural for me to be an artist in some form or fashion. But as far as painting goes, I really got into painting when I was in middle school. I think thereabouts. I was homeschooled my whole life, so I don't really have a good gauge of what grade I was at what age. But I think I was like maybe 13 and 14 when I really started painting. And I loved it. I did abstracts and I had so much fun with it. And I'm really sorry because this was the one thing that I couldn't find an example of to show you today. I have some from every other stage of my artwork, but not the original. And I know I have some in the house somewhere, but I can't find them. I saw them when I moved in, and I put them somewhere. Any of you who have moved know exactly what this feeling is like. It's somewhere. But I do have a more recent example that I can show you kind of what my style was like when I was doing abstracts. So I did this piece, and I cannot remember how it goes together. This is a like multi-canvas series. But so it's multiple pieces, and they're just colorful, bright abstracts that fit together to make one really fun abstract piece. This is one that I did maybe early this year or late last year, just because I thought it would be fun to see if I could still paint abstracts. And the answer is yeah, it's fine. It's not really my cup of tea anymore, but it's fun. And I think had I really tried back then, I probably could have painted whatever I wanted. I probably could have done lessons and learned how to do a lot of the stuff that I'm doing now, honestly, but I didn't want to. You know how it is when you're a teenager? If anybody says, hey, you could be good at this, you're like, then I'm not gonna do it. So I didn't do it. Eventually I stopped painting. I think I got busy. I think I had a lot of other stuff I was doing, and so I wasn't painting anymore. I did start writing, and I did also bring examples of this. I started writing in high school, but I never finished a story. I had all of these novel ideas, and I had those like yellow legal pads, and I would just write for hours on it because, like I said, I was homeschooled and a bit of an overachiever. So I would do all of my schoolwork for the week on Mondays and Tuesdays, and then the rest of the week I could do whatever I wanted. It was great. Fabulous. And being the very nice little overachiever that I was, I did very creative things like writing, and I remember vaguely making dishes out of wood glue, but they were like tiny dishes that I could use for like Polly Pockets. I don't know where that idea came from. I had some weird ideas. I think we all do. Fast forward like 10 years, and we get to college. And in college, I wasn't really doing much for creativity when I started college, but about 3 weeks into my first semester of college, I was bored out of my gourd. And it's one of those things where I didn't know that you could take college courses early. Like, I didn't know you could take those in high school. So I was starting college at a level that was below my knowledge level. So my first couple of semesters, I was just bored. So I wrote. And the first thing that I wrote was this. Telekinetic. It is no longer on the market. This is one of the few copies that's left. I have probably a dozen or so left. It's not very good, but I was really proud of it, and so I self-published it through Ex Libris. I don't recommend them at all. They were an awful experience, but that kind of got me back on track as far as art goes, and eventually in college I went on to start a publishing company with some friends, and we published a whole series of my books. They were called the Druid novels. This is my favorite one of them. This is Minid. Technically it should be pronounced Miniz, but I didn't ask anybody to learn Welsh. So I was writing again, I was creating again, and these are all sci-fi and fantasy, and just, they were very creative, very unique stories that were just from the depths of me. But working with that publishing company, that was really, really hard. And after a while, it got to the point that I just couldn't do it anymore. I was mentally exhausted, I was physically exhausted, I was no longer enjoying creating. And for someone who's always been a creator, that was really, really difficult. Like, really, really difficult. And I struggled with it for a long time. I now had clients whose work I had to focus on more than I could focus on my own. I had finally finished this novel series, and then I didn't know what to write anymore, and I had a bunch of other books I had to edit, but I didn't have any time because I was working on client work, and I had to figure out marketing, and I had to do all this other stuff, and it was so draining that eventually I just called it quits, and we ended up closing the company. Again, there are no more copies of these available on the market. I think I probably have a couple dozen of each book left. They're all in my garage. If you want any, let me know. But that was hard for me, and for a while after that I stopped creating. I wasn't making anything, I wasn't writing, I stopped reading. I really stopped doing anything that I would personally consider like creative. I wasn't really doing anything. I got a full-time job with one of my best friends, and that's kind of just what I poured myself into, was just working. And that's still where I work. I love my job. I have so much fun. My coworkers are the best. I love my employer. He's such a great guy. But I was always kind of missing something. And if you're a creator who has ever stopped their craft, I think you know what I mean. And it's that feeling of just that kind of emptiness of, I'm not doing the thing I need to be doing. I'm not doing the thing that my soul wants to do. But eventually, my mom convinced me to go to paint night with her at our church. She had been going with one of her friends. She had gone maybe 2 or 3 times before she convinced me to go. And they were having tons of fun. And she kept telling me, well, remember, you used to paint. You'd be good at this. You would have fun with this. There's a bunch of other ladies at church. You'd have fun. You should come. You'd have fun. You know, like moms do. So eventually I went with her and discovered that I'm like a level above most of the ladies, if not most of the ladies in the class, primarily because I had worked with paint before, and the ladies that go are ladies who have always wanted to paint and wanted to be creative, but kind of they chose family life instead of that, where I am 30 and still single, so I can kind of do whatever I want. It's great. So started going to paint night. It's kind of at the point now I still go. It's been a couple of years. And it's kind of gotten to the point that some of the ladies know who I am, and they know that I'm probably not going to paint when we're supposed to paint, and that if they need help, they can come ask me, because I probably know a technique to fix whatever happened with their painting. But I started going to paint night, and I came up with a couple of fun things out of it. This one, I think, is the only one I have this was something that we actually did in paint night. This was what we were supposed to do in paint night, and I actually liked what we were going to do, so I did it. Super rare, but I really enjoyed this one. Monochrome. Fun. Tricky, but fun. And then what we realized, me and my mom, was that some of the paintings we really liked what we were doing, but we thought we could do it better at home. So we tried. And if you want to see any videos of some of that, I've got videos of that. They're usually called Repainting My Paint Night painting. And one of those that we did, and this is just the repaint, I don't have the original anymore, I gave it away, was this guy. The original that we did in class was really light and really didn't have any depth to it, so we sat down and we just I think this took us either an entire day or 2 days, I don't remember. This took us a while, and it was so much fun, and I was really starting to discover how much I loved painting. And then eventually it just turned into, I was no longer painting what we were supposed to paint, and I was just painting what I wanted to paint, even to the point of I would bring my own brushes, and I would bring my own paints, and palette knives and everything, and I would just come up with something fun like this. And I would look up stuff on my phone to get reference photos, like for my little owl here, or even for this river. And it was so much fun, and it was so great to be creating something again. And then, let's see, where is everything? Then what happened was that I started painting at home by myself, and I discovered during paint night that I could paint foxes. Of all things, foxes. I think I've got a video of that one too. You can go check it out. I'll link it. And so I started doing stuff like this, where I've got this just super cute fox. But this, technically I wouldn't call it an original, because I saw this shape of a fox online that someone did, I think out of watercolor, and I really liked it, so I kind of just copied it and made it into my own thing. So I was still kind of copying other people's style, but I was making my own things with it. And then eventually I started making just straight up Rani originals, like this guy. I don't know if you can see it super well, but this is a wizard, and it's supposed to be lightning magic. Which, this was really fun. This is 90% painted with a palette knife. I wanted to challenge myself to do something like that, and this is what I came up with. I actually really like this one. But over time, doing stuff like this, I just discovered that I love painting, and I was really starting to discover that I had my own art style, but I didn't really put that much thought into it, and I didn't play with it that much. And then with 2020 and with just everything being nuts for so long, and then I stopped doing videos because of everything I explained in my last video, and I eventually, through all of that, decided that I needed my own space. I had still lived with my parents, and it was just getting to the point that I needed to have my own place. Exhibit A. Here we are. But that took a lot of time and a lot of attention, and so again, I kind of stopped painting for a little while, but I still had that itch, and I knew that I wanted to go back to painting. I knew that painting was the thing that I really wanted to do. In the middle of all this, by the way, I started making jewelry like these guys, but I still consider that kind of more of a hobby. And I don't do it as much now. I make some jewelry, but I don't make a ton. I do work for a jewelry store, so it probably has something to do with it. But, where was I? So I bought a house. And moved in, and I got to focusing on decorating. Painted the teal wall, painted my office, painted the spare bathroom. I still need to paint the master bathroom and the master bedroom, but I have the paint for it. I just need the gumption. I have ideas of putting a mural in. I've started putting art on the walls. I've got curtains up everywhere. I was so focused on that probably for a couple of months after I moved in, that was really all I was doing, was setting up my house, getting everything unpacked, getting everything the way I wanted it. Wanted it. Ooh, I've made a new word, y'all. Wanted it. Getting everything the way I wanted, and eventually I ended up, I don't remember exactly how I ended up doing this, but I ended up with a Skillshare subscription, and the first class that I took was about finding your art style and creating memorable art that's meaningful to you. And that was so impactful for me, and probably one of the biggest takeaways that I had from that was how to find your art style realistically is to find what you like in other people's art, in like lots of other people's art, put it all like in a Pinterest board or something like that, and then find the commonalities between all of those things that you like. The common thread between all of those things is your art style. And I had never thought of it that way, but I do have like fairly specific things that I like in art. So from there, I ended up making some actual Rani originals, and I was scared at first, so I did them on paper, which I don't normally do. I don't like painting on paper. And this isn't my favorite. This is called a root bound, and I had a lot of fun painting this, but it took me forever. And this was really my first original since the abstracts. But it led into things like this, that if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen part of this. I did not share the whole thing with you. Try to avoid the glare, I know. This one is varnished, so it did pull a little bit at the edges. I need to get a frame for it. But since then, I have really been able to hone in on an art style. And I skipped at painting. Let's go back in time a couple of weeks. The first one that I did when I really came back into painting is probably the thing, you know what, I think it is the thing that inspired me to get Skillshare and take that class. And it's this one. I absolutely love this painting. I love it. I still need to varnish it. I haven't because I just have it on the wall. This took me, I don't know how many hours to paint, but I had so much fun doing this painting, and it just flowed. It felt like when I first started writing all those years ago, and the words would just flow from my fingers. It felt like that. It felt magical, and I absolutely fell in love with this painting. I will probably never sell the original, but I am considering selling prints, so if you guys like that painting, let me know, because I am planning on starting an art store, probably next year, and I will likely have prints of that one. So she was really my inspiration, and that led into the other two paintings that I just showed you. And from there, it's really led into this, I have a style. I have an art style, and it's solid, and it's familiar, and I have a few more paintings I really want to show you. Just a second, and I will grab those. So, I've got things like this, and again, I don't know if this is going to show up super well on camera. I will probably post a picture of this one on Instagram if I haven't already. My style is, I haven't really figured out how to describe what my style is, but I think that you'll notice it as I show you more of my paintings. So, and these first two I'm going to show you, I actually did the backgrounds on the same day, and that's why the colors are so similar. This one, I love this one. I've started experimenting with gouache instead of just acrylic, and I've discovered that if you do the background in acrylic and the foreground in gouache, it offers a lot more wiggle room, and it's a lot more fluid and a lot more playful. So I've really been getting into that. And this next one is one of my favorites. This one I just finished the other day. This one is on wood, actually. This is a wood panel. I've been taking anatomy classes again on Skillshare, and I am learning so much from Skillshare. I got a discount. I got like 30% off for a year, and I think it was from Jazza. Sometimes he does that on his channel. Check it out. But the thing is, even though you can see from my art style, from these three that I showed you, that my art style really involves finding humanity in nature, I've realized that I can still do one of the things that I discovered that I love, which is painting foxes. This one is entirely in gouache, and I absolutely love how he turned out. He's just, look how cute he is. I don't love the flowers, but I think what I'm gonna do is press some real flowers and just make this look a little bit more natural. Because I think that would just look really good with the style of the fox. So, not quite done this one, but I wanted to show you anyway. But all of this to the point that even when I go to paint night, I still follow through with my art style. And if you don't see it, Here's the nose. Here's the chin. Chest. 2 legs of a woman. And the mountain line. That is my style. That is what I do. And that's what I want to share with you. I have plenty more. I have painted 16 or 17 paintings since I moved into my house, which was only a few months ago now. And I am in love with the art that I am making. I absolutely adore it, and I cannot wait to get to share even more of it with you guys. Like I said, I'm going to be opening a store so I can sell both originals and prints. If you are interested in any of these, let me know, and I will keep you posted on when my websites are up and running and you can buy my stuff. But that is Rani Art History 101. That's the history of me with art and a little bit about where we're going, because we've got lots to paint, and Jerry's Artorama had a sale, so I bought lots more paint. Thank you guys for watching to the end. I'll see you next time. Bye.